become so valuable the world can't ignore you. There comes a moment in every life when silence becomes unbearable. When mediocrity feels like a prison. When the weight of unrealized potential is heavier than failure itself. And in that moment, something inside you wakes up. It's not a shout, it's not a roar, it's quieter than that. It's a whisper that says, you were made for more. But this world does not reward your potential. It does not hand you trophies for what you could have been. It rewards proof. It rewards execution. It rewards value. Not noise, not excuses. Value. In a world drowning in distraction, imitation, and surface-level ambition, you must become the rarest kind of individual. The person who's so skilled, so essential, so impactful, that the world has no choice but to notice. You don't get there by accident. You get there by design. You don't stumble into greatness, you forge it with fire. And that fire begins in your mind. Because every revolution starts with belief. Belief is not blind hope. It is not a wish upon a star. It is the absolute immovable decision that you will become the kind of person the world cannot ignore. Thomas Edison didn't invent the light bulb with resources. He invented it with relentless belief. He failed over 1,000 times, but each failure wasn't a defeat. It was a step forward. Because the man believed that the light would come. And when belief meets clarity, you become dangerous. Because clarity is the blade that cuts through the noise. Most people drift, floating from one desire to another like leaves in the wind. But the ones who rise, they are the ones who decide. Not just what they want, but who they will become to deserve it. You don't chase success. You become the kind of person success chases. That's the secret the world won't tell you. Because it's easier to sell you shortcuts, hacks, and dopamine hits than it is to tell you the truth. That if you want to be respected, rewarded, remembered, you must earn it with value. And value is not talent. It's not charisma. It's not luck. It's the combination of discipline, purpose, and relentless self-improvement. Practiced so consistently that you become undeniable. You become irreplaceable. You become the one who doesn't need to beg for attention because your results demand it. You want the world to stop ignoring you? Then stop ignoring yourself. Stop avoiding the mirror. Stop avoiding the work. Because inside you right now is a version of you that is brilliant, capable, respected, unstoppable. But you don't become that person by waiting. You become that person by building. Start with the mindset. Because without a mindset forged in purpose, even the most gifted individual becomes a ghost. Mindset is not just positive thinking. It's mental toughness. It's the ability to suffer without quitting, to be underestimated and still keep showing up, to face rejection, failure, and setbacks, and still choose to move forward. Henry Ford was laughed out of the room when he said he'd create a motor car for the common man. They said he was crazy. But crazy doesn't mean wrong. Crazy just means ahead of your time. Ford didn't need the world's permission. He needed one thing: conviction. That's what mindset is. It's choosing conviction over comfort. It's building armor on the inside so the outside world cannot shake you. Because the world will test you. It will ignore you. It will reject you. Not because you're not capable, but because it's trying to see if you believe that you are. And most people fail that test, not because they lack talent, but because they never learn to master themselves. So master your mind. Train it like a warrior trains his blade. Feed it with purpose. Sharpen it with discipline. Protect it from mediocrity, negativity, and distraction. Because if your mind is weak, everything else collapses. But if your mind is strong, nothing can stop you. Clarity, discipline, vision. These are the bricks. But belief is the fire in the furnace. It is belief that turns ideas into movements, that turns rejection into fuel, that turns an ordinary life into an extraordinary legacy. You must believe with such intensity that the world has no choice but to catch up to your vision. Like Disney. He was fired for lacking imagination. Let that sink in. Walt Disney, the architect of wonder, was told he had no creativity, but he didn't let that become his truth. He let it become his test. The world didn't see the castle yet, but he did, and that's the key. To become so valuable, you must first be willing to see what others do not. That takes vision. And vision is not what you see with your eyes, it's what you see with your soul. Vision is the seed of every empire, but only the disciplined turn it into a harvest. Because vision without action is a daydream. But vision fueled by discipline, that's how you carve your name into history. Discipline is the difference between what sounds good and what gets done. It's not a feeling. It's not motivation. It's a decision you make regardless of how you feel. And make no mistake, the world is full of dreamers, but it's ruled by doers. And the doers, they aren't necessarily the smartest, the strongest, or the most connected. They are simply the ones who showed up every single day. When it was hard, when it was lonely, when no one was clapping. You think Carnegie built steel empires by waiting for inspiration? No. He built them with obsession, with discipline, with an unshakable commitment to become a man the world could not ignore. Discipline is the hammer that shapes greatness. It's the invisible work when no one is watching. The early mornings, the silent sacrifices, the boring, relentless repetition of mastery. Because greatness isn't sexy. It's not made in the highlight reels. It's made in the shadows. You want to stand out? You want to rise above average? Then earn it in private before the world ever gives you praise in public. That's how you become valuable. Not by demanding attention, but by deserving it. Because real power doesn't chase applause, it chases excellence. And excellence is not a talent, it's a standard, a non-negotiable. It's what you demand of yourself when no one else does. When it would be easy to settle, you raise the bar. When others quit at 90%, you push to 110. That gap, that difference, is what separates the invisible from the unforgettable. Now understand this. The world pays for value, and value is created through service. If you want to become indispensable, you must stop asking, what can I get? And start asking, what can I give that no one else can? That's what makes people magnetic. Not tricks, not gimmicks, but genuine soul-driven contribution. You don't need to manipulate anyone. You don't need to beg. You become so effective, so trusted, so powerful, that your presence becomes a solution. You walk into the room and problems start finding answers. You speak and people listen. Not because you demanded it, but because you earned it through years of sweat, scars, and sacrifice. This is how leaders are born. Not through charisma, but through value creation. Think about the most respected names in history. Lincoln, Mandela, Jobs, Oprah, Tesla. They weren't just famous, they were valuable. They brought something into the world that no one else could, and they paid the price to do it. If you want that kind of impact, you must do the same. You must look within and ask, what am I willing to suffer for? Because value is not born in comfort, it is born in sacrifice. Most people are afraid of sacrifice, afraid to give up the temporary for the eternal, afraid to be misunderstood, afraid to risk. But listen closely. The more rare the value, the higher the reward. So if you want uncommon results, you must become an uncommon individual, one who is willing to do the deep, hard, invisible work, while the rest scroll, sleep, and settle. And when the storms come, because they will come, you don't break, you adapt. Adaptability. This is the edge no one talks about, because talent can freeze, plans can fail. But the one who adapts, the one who moves with the storm instead of hiding from it, is the one who wins in the long game. Nature favors the resilient. Look at evolution. The strongest species didn't survive. The most adaptable ones did. The same law applies to you. You don't need to have all the answers. You need to be willing to change, willing to outgrow your old self, willing to shed your ego, willing to evolve again and again and again until there is nothing left but truth. And that truth is this: you are capable of becoming extraordinary. Not because you're perfect, but because you're relentless. The world may try to box you in, label you, limit you, but greatness lives in those who refuse to accept the script they were handed. They write their own. So write yours with blood, sweat, courage, and purpose. And when you do, you'll no longer need to ask for attention. You'll no longer have to convince anyone of your worth, because you will have become something more, something undeniable, something so rare that the world can't ignore you. But here's what they won't tell you. Value alone is not enough. You can have talent. You can have skill. You can be the most disciplined, most adaptable, most resourceful person in the room. But if you don't believe in yourself, truly, deeply, unshakably believe, then none of it matters. Because belief is the soil, discipline is the seed, and results are the harvest. But without belief, the seed never takes root. You must believe in your own becoming before the world ever will. Not wish, not hope. No. Know that the pain has a purpose. Know that the process is perfect, even when it doesn't feel like it. Know that every rejection, every failure, every betrayal is carving a deeper vessel within you, one capable of holding more power, more wisdom, more strength. You're not being punished, you're being prepared. Prepared to carry a calling so great, most people wouldn't survive the pressure that comes with it. But you were built for this. You were forged in fire, and that fire, if you let it, will not consume you. It will refine you. Think of Edison. 10,000 failures, 10,000 attempts, 10,000 dark nights of the soul. But what did he say? I didn't fail. I just found 10,000 ways that won't work. That is belief, not delusion, not arrogance, but an inner conviction that refuses to die. And you need that same fire, because there will be days when everything you says, quit, it's not working. You're not good enough. It's too late. But those voices, they're not truth. They're the last lines of defense from the old version of you. The one who was small, safe, silent, the one who didn't know their worth. You are not that person anymore. And if you are, then today is the day you bury them. Not with guilt, not with shame, but with rebirth. You were not born to blend in. You were not born to play small, to live numb, to die wondering, what if? You were born to rise into your power, to rise into your calling, to rise into the most dangerous, most valuable version of you the world has ever seen. Because when belief becomes your foundation, everything changes. You stop chasing validation. You stop shrinking your light to make others comfortable. You stop second-guessing your instincts. You start trusting yourself. And that trust becomes your compass. You move different. You speak different. You walk into rooms with quiet certainty because you know you've earned your place. Not by luck, but by grit, by sacrifice, by 1,000 silent victories no one will ever see. But you'll feel them. They'll live in your posture, your pace, your presence. And the world? It will respond. People will wonder what changed. They'll say something's different about you. But it's not just your confidence. It's your energy, your alignment, your certainty. Because you finally realize that belief isn't something you wait for. It's something you build. You build it every time you show up scared, but do it anyway. You build it when you fail and try again. You build it every time you choose faith over fear, discipline over distraction, purpose over pleasure. And brick by brick, day by day, you become unstoppable. That's what they don't teach you in school. That belief is not inherited. It is constructed. It is a fortress forged from every scar you refuse to let define you. A temple built from every lie you shattered. A kingdom carved from every moment you chose growth over comfort. This is how you rise. Not through force, but through alignment. Through an identity so clear, so strong, so unshakable that nothing, no failure, no insult, no storm, can pull you back to the old you. Because once you've tasted your power, once you've owned your value, you never go back to begging for scraps. You become the source. You become the leader. You become the one they come to when they need vision, guidance, fire. And not because you shouted the loudest, but because you built yourself into someone they can't ignore.